All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate Sales Secrets. Title of today's interview is How to Succeed Without Going Broke in Real Estate, except that we have a little spin for our outstanding, awesome, most fantastic guest. We have a specific scenario that we've presented to him, and I think it's one that's extremely valuable. So many people are in a position where they have to produce, or they've all of a sudden lost stuff and need to. So here's the situation. If you wake up one day and you found out that you'd lost everything, your building's not there, and all of a sudden your great view out the window is not there anymore, and you have 30 days to get it all back, to be able to feed your family, what would you do? So my name's Robert Tucker, and today I am talking with my longtime friend and Atlanta real estate expert, Emmett Carr, about how every real estate agent can get started on the right track. So welcome, Emmett.
Hey, thanks, Rob.
You got it. Absolutely. So Emmett's been in the Atlanta market forever. We'll get to his background in just a second, and I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. Emmett, thanks again for joining us, and shoot, let's jump in. So first set of questions is going to be about you, your background, so we can give whoever's watching and listening just a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and how they can relate to you as well. So tell us a little bit about you in your terms of background, education, experience in real estate. Have at it.
Well, I don't know if it's all that interesting. It's probably the standard story. Started in corporate America, worked in the digital and tech sector for a long time through the .com thing, and at some point in time, I just got sick of traveling around the country, opening different tech centers and things like that. Realized how much of my daughter's life I was missing out on, and wanted to make a transition. And I just bought my first house, strangely enough. And well, back up. So I had made that decision, went to this career center, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next with my life. Like, what's the next iteration of it? Since I didn't want to travel anymore, not like that at least. And so I went to the center, and they brought up a whole bunch of different job profiles. The main one was ad executive. But of course, we knew we'd have to go to either coast to do that, New York, California, or Chicago, right?
Yep.
And I was trying to be in Denver. And so not really the mecca for ad agencies and things like that. The second one was real estate agent, right?
Yeah.
So I called up my real estate agent, who I literally had just bought my house 2 weeks before from. And I asked her to shadow her, shadowed her, and I didn't say this to her, so don't think I'm like a total jerk or anything. But in my head, I'm thinking, I asked her, I was like, so how much did you make last year? And she's like, I don't know, like 150, 175. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, oh my God, and you suck. You make so much money? I'm going to be a real estate agent. So that was like a Friday afternoon. By Monday afternoon, I went into my corporate office. And at that time, they were giving you a bunch of stock options instead of like massive salaries and stuff.
Yeah.
So I traded in all my options or cashed in those and put it all in the bank. And I went to real estate school. And I was in real estate school by that Wednesday. And fast forward to the real estate school, a small lady, which you'll know, Diana Kokoska,
Yep.
came to a real estate school. And she walks up to me at the end of her little lunch and learn, because that's what they called them. And that was their way of recruiting us.
Yep.
Walks up, she puts her hand on my shoulder and she says, you're going to work for me. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm in real estate now. I'm never working for anybody ever again. Yeah, so that was kind of the background. And then, fast forward, I joined Keller Williams, ended up joining Diana's team, was trained by her and Tony DeCello, and really brought up to speed through, and Mike Ferry.
Yep.
And Jerry Bresser,
Yep.
watching their stuff, right?
Nice.
Always a prospector, first and foremost. So, probably matches my personality, pretty aggressive, and take no prisoners kind of thing. Was in Keller Williams on Diana's team for quite some time as their lead listing specialist and things like that.
Okay.
At some point in time, we agreed that where my world was going and where hers was going, she was going to MAPS coaching at that time.
Yep.
And I was going to branch off and do my own team. So I branched off and started my own team. And we did really, really well. Rose up the ranks pretty quickly, probably faster than we should have, at least ego-wise, right? Because you start feeling yourself a little bit. The economy has a way of right-siding that.
Yep.
And then that's where, so we survived that, made it through that, probably through some of the topics that you and I will talk about today in terms of lead gen and how to survive on next to nothing in terms of a budget.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I had an opportunity to get back closer to home where our family is in Mobile, Alabama. But for some reason or another, practicing real estate in Mobile, Alabama just didn't feel right. So the next biggest city that I always could see myself living in was Atlanta. We moved down to Atlanta 2010.
Okay.
Right around the time where, shortly thereafter I met you. So, moved down here, I came down here and I was going to do the individual agent thing because I didn't want a team again. I wasn't sure I did. It was really and truly like herding cats. And then you get into the place where everybody wants to be successful.
Yep.
Until they find out what it takes to be successful.
Spot on.
And then they're faced with the harsh reality of, do I really want it as bad as I say I want it? And that's a question that faces all of us in real estate. Like, do you really want it as bad as you say you want it? Or do you just want the dream, the freedom, the massive car or houses and cars that magically appear because you never sold any houses, and all of those things. And I ask all the people that, align themselves with our team now, are you willing to pay the cost for the dream that you have?
Yeah.
Because here's what that cost looks like. And if you're okay with that, let's go, let's ride with it. But if you're not, don't sell yourself a pipe dream. Just don't. Yeah. Not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We get up and down here in the First Atlanta Market Center, and we're still trekking through the MRA model, trying to make it work the right way so that we have a proven and repeatable business.
Well, I would say that you're doing pretty well. I mean, what are you going to finish the year with? How many houses sold? How many sides?
I think right now we're just expanding our team, but I think we're going to be right at 140 or something like that this year.
There you go.
We had a much more aggressive goal. But then again, that goes back to that point where the people that we aligned ourselves with weren't really willing to pay the price for the goal they wanted.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we do on our team, and I'm pretty proud of, is I never come down and tell these guys what their goal is going to be, right? I don't have some ego where I'm saying, oh, we got to do 300 homes. Here's your portion, here's your portion, and here's your portion.
Yeah.
When we do our goal setting, they build out what their perfect life looks like and what that costs them. And then we add up the tally for everyone on the team. And that's our annual goal, right?
Yes.
And unfortunately, some people wrote checks that their work ethic wasn't willing to cash. And I probably did a little bit as well because I didn't hit my goal. I really wanted to do 65 personal sides. Yep. And, when you start coaching and developing agents, it takes a little bit away from you.
It does. Yep, absolutely. Well, you hit you said it a second ago, they want to do something, but how many of them are truly willing to do what it takes? And I think that's a critical piece.
It is. And as leaders and especially with teams and things like that, one of the biggest growth opportunities we have is we buy into people's story more than they are ready to kind of cash in on.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind that if you tell me what you want, like I will, move heaven and earth to create the environment for you to be successful in. I won't do the work for you, but I'll create the environment for you.
Yep, absolutely. Spot on. Well, that's a huge piece as well. So you said that when you started on a team, and you also did some additional training and things like that outside. How did that affect you and where you are now? I mean, what kind of things did you go to? You mentioned Mike Ferry. You mentioned Diana's stuff.
Yeah, honestly, the first thing Diana did was she made me start doing script practice. 4:30 in the morning at her house, during script practice with her. listening to Jerry Bresser tapes between listing appointments, driving back and forth from our house. And then I got immediately involved in Mike Ferry. And, he's like the prospecting king,
Yep.
does not believe in advertising or marketing or any of those kind of things. Well, he didn't. I don't know if it's shifted now, but he didn't at that time. And so I can honestly and truly at the bottom of my heart say that had it not been for that, had it not been for Diana and Mike Ferry, there's no way I would have survived 2007, 2008 when everything went to hell. I
Yep.
would not have survived 2011, 2012 when Atlanta pretty much bottomed or was bottoming out as well.
Yep.
It was the ability to put my head down, pick up a phone, dial, get belly to belly with people, and have the scripts and dialogue to articulate our value.
Yeah. Ooh, value. Wait a minute. You articulate your value?
I don't think you'll stay in business long if you can.
Instead of compete on price?
There's a space for everybody, right? And if you're a volume guy, like you just want to get, a minor piece of the pie and just huge numbers and kind of skim by, there's a place for you in this business.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the iBuyers and things like that wouldn't be there. There's a place for everyone.
Absolutely.
I have a son that I enjoy more than breathing, that I want to spend time with, and so I've got to make the best and most efficient use of my time.
Yeah.
At all times, and that means I have to sell my worth and my value.
Yeah.
And people have to be willing to pay that.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, it's interesting, and I think that goes right into this. So let's start. All of a sudden, you walk in and the building's gone and you don't have anywhere to sit, no view like you have behind you right now, and you're starting over.
It's Atlanta at its finest.
That's right, it is. And you have 30 days to get it back and to feed your son and your wife. What's the first thing you're going to do? Where's your concentration?
When I saw, or when we talked a little bit about that question, man, it really hit home, because like I said, when in 2007-8, when I was in Denver,
Yep.
and we walked into the mortgage lenders' offices, and they told us that the finance company had gone out of business. Like literally, we lost like 15 or 20 transactions in a day.
Wow.
Like we lost, and listings were piling up on the board, and there was no income. And then when I got here to Atlanta, I didn't know a single soul, right? And so I did the same thing in both instances.
Okay.
I started dialing for sale by owners and expireds, people that I knew had a high motivation to get their property sold, and just were missing one piece or another to make that happen for them. And you know what? And to add on top of that, I wasn't a passive agent. I didn't need them to drop the price so low that a monkey could sell it.
Yep.
I needed them to place trust in me and let me do my job.
Nice. Okay, so when you say that, there's two questions in there. One is, what was your approach and how would you approach them? And two, when you say, and I'll come back to this, but when you say do your job, how do you articulate that value to them?
Again, it goes back to the value, right? I'm not experimenting with their largest asset. I've spoken with, you're one of them, and some of the top agents in the nation, and you learn, like, there's no secret sauce to this, right? It's following the path. And one of the coaches I had, Dirk Zeller, sometime back said this, and I'll probably butcher it, so if he's listening or he ends up listening, don't kill me, Dirk. He was like, the more exciting you make real estate, the broker you're going to be, because the path has already been laid out for you. And success in real estate is almost boring, because it means coming in every single day and doing the same thing. Scripts and dialogue, lead follow-up, or lead generation, lead follow-up, presentations, writing contracts, and if you want to add something in there, going to closings, right?
Yeah.
Those are the things that feed the family day in and day out, and they always will. You got to put your head down, mute out the noise, pick up the phone, right? Get on there and start making some calls. And then when you're down with the people, be where your feet are, be in the conversation with them, listen to their needs, listen what they're trying to accomplish, and can you legitimately get them to that goal? Because if you can't, be transparent with them and tell them I'm not the right fit for you, right? But if you can, and you're willing to put in the work, do it.
So have you turned down people that wanted to use you?
You have to, right? Because again, there's only so much of you to go around.
Yeah.
And you want people that are truly motivated to buy or sell something, right? Putting their home on the market because I want to test it and see what might happen.
Yeah.
Is not a good idea, because every Tuesday when I do my seller calls or buyer calls, anyone we're under contract with, every client every Tuesday, right? Those are some of the most miserable calls to make when they're frustrated that their home hasn't sold.
Yeah.
And they want to know what you're doing or why you haven't sold it. You're like, I told you it was overpriced.
Yeah. Yeah.
No amount of marketing I can do that will counter that.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. So what's your approach when you're calling a for sale by owner?
First off, it's when I'm calling for sale by owners, it's truly to gauge what their motivation was in terms of why they're even putting it on the market, right? It could be downsizing, upsizing, relocation, change of life statuses, things like that, whatever it might be. And then what's their timeline look like? Because at the end of the day, they legitimately can sell on their own, right?
Yep.
And every one of them can under the right circumstances. The difference is, do you want to sell for the most money? Do you want to do it in the shortest period of time? And do you want fewer hassles? Right?
Yeah.
If those three questions are in the affirmative, and you are open to a conversation on how we can help you do that, still pay our full flight, right?
Yep.
But still put more money into your pocket than you would on your own. I'm not the guy going to tell them, oh, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it, because at the end of the day, they can. It's just, what are they willing to sacrifice for the privilege of saying, I sold it on my own?
Yeah. Gotcha. So you think there's still an opportunity out there for sale by owners and expireds?
I do. I think that it's obviously with the flood of calls and stuff. Let's be honest, expireds are getting more and more challenging. Fewer and fewer, because of robo dialing and some of the other stuff that's happening, fewer and fewer of those folks are answering the phone. But guess what? That doesn't mean there's no opportunity. It just means you have to change tactics a little bit. It means you got to get in your car, drive out to them, door knock, and be ready for that conversation, which means, of course, now the script practice comes into play. Are you versed enough to convert them right at the door when you don't have the ability to kind of fluff it up, because now they're getting everybody else is hitting them up. And then for sale by owners, really now they're changing a little bit, because it used to be I could call a for sale by owner up. I used to have, like, for every 7 people I talked to, I would take a listing. That used to be Now I'm about 1 for every 13, 14. I'm having to double the work to get the same outcome, but the outcomes are still available to you. And in that, it used to be 1 appointment, 1 listing. Now it's maybe 3 appointments. Well, 2 previews or 2 visits, value add visits, and 1 appointment. Because you're really not, until they're ready to hear what you have to say, you can call it whatever you want, but it's not an appointment. It's not a listing appointment until they're ready to actually engage in the conversation.
So what I hear you saying is your approach is that you're going to speak with them, you're going to listen, you're going to actually build a relationship with them, and you're going to continue to do that until it's time.
Well, you have to. How else are people buy from people they like, right? And they trust. And until you establish those 2 things, you're just that slimy guy that's trying to get my listing.
You mean like the other 100 that called them this morning?
I'm not 100. I think 100 say they called. Because I picked up the phone and they sat there in dead space.
Probably. So how many do you think are actually getting in their car and knocking on a door? How many agents?
I think more and more, only because that's kind of been more of the training. That's been the migration. And I think that more people are just petrified about that fine now, because the fines keep going up for the dialing. And so I think more and more people are jumping in their cars and going out. It's also, what I will say, this is also forcing us to get more specific in terms of our areas. Like, you're not just going to go, I'm not going to drive out to Stone Mountain for a random for sale by owner, because it's 40 minutes outside my way. For sale by owner. But if it's in Cobb, where I live, and it's between my office in Sandy Springs out to where I live in Marietta, anything along that path is fair game. Matter of fact, if I'm driving around and I just see a sign, I'm stopping.
Perfect.
I
Nice.
don't have to know anything about their house.
And for a for sale by owner, you're just heading up to the door.
Yeah, because what more authentic way to engage in a conversation is when you really don't know anything about the house.
Yes.
Or there's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's truly, hey, I'm a local real estate professional, specialize in working in the area. I just want to learn some more about your property so I can present it to any buyers I might come across.
Man, that's awesome, because and that's the thing that, as we've talked about, that it seems like the industry's gotten away from, and so much they want to focus so much and put all of their stuff on technology to do it for them, instead of going out and getting belly to belly with people. And that's what
I wish I could say that I wasn't one of those agents, but I have been, and I am to some degree. Every one of us got sucked into the buyer lead vortex, right? Every single one of us got sucked into all the latest and greatest tools and tips and things like that. And I still have just a ton of them that I'm shedding as I get closer to the core of what really makes the real estate business go.
Yeah.
And the aha, and even from our conversations, if you use technology the right way, meaning to enhance the relationship, it's an awesome tool. But if you start trying to use it to replace yourself in the transaction, you're in for a rude awakening, because they don't need us for that. They've got, the Zillows and all the automated tools and all those things like that they can just throw it out there and get some cash out of the machine.
Yeah. Yeah, spot on. Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. So for sale by owners, expired. So what's the second thing you do?
Get my database going, get everybody I know into my database, and really start marketing. That was a huge learning opportunity for me, because again, I got on the whole I was from the tech sector, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Tech leads, that whole Google thing, that was all about that, man. And all the guys that were doing on the slow bus, as I called it at that time, doing just a database and sphere, whose business was growing kind of at a snail's pace because they couldn't get the kind of leads. I'm getting 300 leads a month. They built a foundation. They built a foundation that I didn't have. And so they started getting repeat and referral business constantly. And I'm still chugging away, chasing people that don't know, like, or trust me.
Yeah.
But it made sense because I was a hunter, right? And that's what we do. We go out and hunt. And so there's elements of being a farmer that go into this whole thing that I wish I had embraced sooner.
Nice. So where would you start on that? What would you do?
My phone. Every single person that's in here would go into a spreadsheet or a database, because I'm broke, so I probably go into a spreadsheet, right?
Yep.
And from there, I'd start, really reaching out, letting them know I was in real estate, having referral script conversations, even planning. I love some of the stuff Michael Mayer does with the network stacking and things like that as well, in terms of getting people together. And then, focusing, instead of dropping so much money on the internet, dropping it on client events.
Tell me about network stacking.
Well, and I'll butcher it again, so Michael Mayer, if you're listening, don't kill me. But, coordinating and scheduling events or meetings, like it might, by my house, there's a Starbucks, and there's also Rev Coffee that's one of my favorite, and I don't even like coffee. But you have a bunch of them, back to back to back in one place, and they're passing by each other and they're seeing each other, heading into this meeting with you. And so all of a sudden, people want to associate with that popular person. They want that successful person. And so you're carefully coordinating these meetings so that they're all, meeting and seeing each other. And it gives you also the opportunity to link relationships. Like if I've got a guy that's a mover, right? Yeah. And somebody else that's, in a different, painter or whatever it is, and all of a sudden they can start sending each other referrals, and they can start leveraging each other's relationship, and partnering together. That alliance of all of us together is what it's all about.
So you're putting your own network group together basically, and then making introductions for them too.
Yeah. We're probably early in the stages of that. I mean, because all of us measure results, right? Right and different, leading and lagging indicators, and we all seem to focus on the lagging ones. and and see how that works out for us. So
Yep.
yeah, as far as the lagging indicators of results go, we're early in it, but I can tell you it's been something that we've been diving into for, probably the last year and a half, 2 years now, really getting deep with our people
Yep.
and finding out which relationships can supplement the other ones.
Nice, nice. So if you're just, this happens and all of a sudden everything's gone and you're calling your database, you're picking that phone up. What are you saying to them?
Like I said, first and foremost, and this could be just my own ego, I'm not going to call them just for business right then, right? Especially if I haven't checked into their life. I'm not in the flow of their life.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not in the flow of their life and I don't know what's going on or what's happening, to me, it feels tacky to just say, hey, so I was, wondering who that might want to buy or sell real estate in the next 10 days. By the way, I know I haven't talked to you in years. How's it going? So yeah, really and truly, finding out how they're going, how's life treating them, how's the family, things like that. And at the end of it, I might, follow that up with a note card, handwritten note card, get that out to them, follow with another item of value, and then invite them out for a business conversation.
Nice. Very nice. So you're not even on that first initial call. You may or may not even say anything about real estate.
Truly, man, I haven't earned the right to yet.
Cool. Very cool. So say someone gets stuck here because obviously they have a phone, so they've got access to people. How do they get over that? How do they get over the fear of doing it or
Man, I think it's different for everybody. What I can tell you is for me, you have to bear with me real quick.
Yep,
For
yep.
me, right on my board right here, picture of my son and my goals. Keep it simple, right? My goals are right there. How many contacts I need every single day, how many listing presentations I need to go on, how many buyers I need to meet with, what my conversion ratios are, man. And so, short answer, or long-winded answer to your question is, what's your why? And is like, for me, is saying no to him worth saying yes to my ego and protecting my ego and not picking up the phone? And when I think about taking away options from him, options for, specific colleges, specific opportunities, experiences in life, there's no rejection that can happen on that phone that is even pale, that would even come close to comparing to that.
Cool. Very cool. So people need to find that why, and I know yours. We've talked about that multiple times.
And then, if you don't have, family, you don't have something along those lines, like, what's your great vision for your life look like? Like, and is that worth the suffering now? Because we're all going to suffer. Either the pain of the doing or the pain of regret, right? You're going to suffer. So you might as well do it on the way to something.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So I'm going to get sidetracked here for a second. I like your board. That's pretty cool. So you know exactly what you need to do on contacts, buyers, sellers on a daily basis, and it's always in front of you.
Yeah, because all of us. Let's be real. As much as I say I like prospecting, or I don't mind prospecting, because I don't know if anyone really likes it. There's days you're not just feeling it, right? And when I'm sitting on my desk and I'm kind of lollygagging or Facebooking it or ESPN, and I look up and I see his eyes looking at me, and I'm like, oh crap.
I like it. Well, and the other piece of that too is that you know your numbers. You know exactly what you need to do on a daily basis to hit your numbers.
And that was something that obviously, Diana and Mike Ferry beat into my head. So I was I didn't know any other way. And so when I started meeting agents that didn't know their numbers, it confused me. It's like, so what do you just like go into a dark room and throw a dart and hope you hit your bullseye? That doesn't make any sense. Like, how do you, you can run any race if you know where the finish line is, right? You can endure any amount of torture if you know what the finish, when it's going to end. Like, I know, even though I'm getting rejected and there's a lot more calls, like I said, that have to be made. If I know that I just need 20 no's to take a listing, I'm
You
looking
can
for
do that.
the
Yep. There you go. There you go. That's the go for no thing, right?
yeah, go for no.
I like it. Cool. All right. So give me one more. One more thing that you would do.
Honestly, man, I wish I could. I truly wish I could think of something cool, something else. But I believe firmly that until you've mastered one or two things, that first off, I wouldn't even move on to Sphere and stuff until I've got a significant number of for sale by owners and list or expires going, that I've got some predictable income going, because the Sphere and past client stuff, you don't know when those are going to pop. You're just investing in the relationship. I know for sale by owners and expireds want to sell now.
Yep.
So
Yep.
get a bunch of those stacked up, and you should have your listing inventory balance sheet where you know how many listings you need to be carrying at any given time based on the turnover or how quickly you're turning over listings and selling them. Get to that number first. Don't, like Gary says, until your one thing's accomplished, everything else is a distraction. So everything's a distraction until that point. Get to that point and then add pillar two. And then once you get the pillar two added and you're getting what you deem to be success there going, then you can look at anything else you want to. And there's a million options for everybody, whatever matches your personality. I'm just saying, like, if I had 30 days to put food on the table, I'd be calling for sale by owners and expireds. And then after I got my inventory built up from there, I'd add my sphere and people that even maybe past clients in that case. And then maybe I might dip down into some of the PPC stuff, maybe. But really, no. You know what? Before that, I'd start doing open houses. I'd jump into my open houses. I'd probably do that because we're getting so much traction with that now.
Yep.
At a 1 to 2% conversion ratio on our internet stuff,
yeah,
I know if I can get belly to belly with somebody, I can convert. That's never been a problem.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, yeah, I probably would do the database thing.
Got it.
Database and then open houses.
Got it. There's some gold in what you just said and how you answered that question, and I think that it's worth saying it again. When I asked you, is there a third thing, and it's like, no, I need to concentrate on the first one first.
Yeah.
And that's huge. I think that we all, and you and I have both, we get sidetracked on stuff, and we see, you get that paycheck or something like that, and all of a sudden the squirrel comes across that you want to go chase, right?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So you're mastering the first thing. You're putting that pillar up, and then you're going to the next one.
Yeah, and until you can legitimately walk in the office and know that you've got whatever your pain threshold number is of closing set up and in the pipeline, you haven't earned the right to add anything else.
Nice. Extreme focus.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that there's somebody watching you right there over on your right side, isn't there?
Yeah. I got a whole shrine to him right now. Not like I'm dad. I'll be at prom with him or anything. No, nothing like that. But
yeah, there you go. Just football coach.
Yeah. Just his football coach.
That's right. Well, awesome. So any other critical steps that you would say to an agent that's looking at this, that's really just, either struggling to get going, stuck somewhere, doesn't, kind of confused on where they are? Give us anything you'd say to them?
There's two things. One is that you need to get real with where you're at, own where you're at right then, and then you can build the right plan to get out of it. But don't delude yourself, don't kid yourself in terms of what you want, where you're going, or where you're at, right? Get real with that first. And then secondly, all right, there's a couple things, because then you're going to get in touch with your why. Why do I not want to be in this place anymore?
Yeah.
Because and I have some of my agents do this. I have them write a letter to themselves about the way they feel when they don't have any business, when they don't have those things going on. So those days when they are kind of feeling themselves when they've got too many deals going, and they forget about the pain that it took to get there.
Yeah.
They write that letter again, and then get a coach. Like Sean Rawls said to me, and it stuck with me, seek wise counsel, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know where he stole it from, but it resonated with me because too often as agents, myself included, we go out and we ask opinions and advice from agents that aren't where we want to be, that aren't doing what we want to do, and then we hold it up as gospel.
Yeah.
Right? And too oftentimes we set our sale bet based on the exception and not the rule to things.
Yeah. Well, I think
you guys successful, yeah, but
you know, it's interesting because we've had these conversations. I've had them with a bunch, and you know, I just had one with our good buddy in Alabama the other day, and he just got back from a conference. Yeah. And you know, it's I think one of the most dangerous things is the plethora of information that's available out there, and all these little conferences and micro conferences that are popping up, and these Facebook groups and all that kind of stuff. And you know, it's we talk about it's the 80-20 principle of 20% of the agents making 80%. I think it's more like a 95-5 principle, where 5%.
I've heard that before. I've heard that.
Yeah, but you know, all the people in these groups are mostly the 95%. You know, there's when you think about when have you spent the most money on squirrels?
When I was in, you know, obviously the mastermind groups, and you hear some great thing that worked out, and yeah. And I'll tell you, this is sure. When Tiger Leads first came out,
Like, oh yeah,
this was still hardcore Mike Ferry guy. So
yep.
I was, no, never, not gonna happen. Spend how much money? Yeah, no, I'll just pick up the phone. Then Tiger Leads like exploded, and everyone that was on it made just like buckets of money. And so from there on out, or at least they, you know, they tell
or at least, yeah, exactly.
And then into CP&Ls. And then like the next iteration was like, I was like, oh man, I missed out this time. So then when like Agent Legend, or I think that was what it was called at the time, and Commission Inc. and all those things popped up, I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting on this bandwagon this time. I'm not missing out. I wish I had missed out on certain things, because my bank account would look very, very, very different. Yeah, those shiny objects, you know, and then we collect data to support the point we told ourselves.
Yep.
Oh, I don't want to miss out, or it's the next best thing for my business. If I don't do this, I'll be out of business in a year, right? How many times have you heard that when they sell you something?
Oh, a buttload. I mean, every day we do that. And you know, it's all about seek wise counsel is terrific, because everybody wants to give counsel now, and they haven't been there.
To that point, though, there are some groups, right? If you can get a small group of people with a singular focus or mission, right, that you can bounce these things off. We've got one with Colgan and Ken and Pozak and some of those guys where, like, I'll go to them with one of the squirrels or the shiny objects. Hey, has anyone heard about this or done this? And the barrage just comes.
Yeah.
Get off of there. What are you thinking about? Stay on the course. Stay on the course. And you need people like that in your corner. Otherwise, you will convince yourself that 10 grand check you're about to write is smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh God, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we all went down that rabbit hole. Well, you know, as they say, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and that's in everything. Yeah. So, any other, you know, last points or tips or things that you want to share?
Actually, you just made it, bro. Seriously. And that didn't dawn on me until last year as well. Are you constantly seeking to upgrade your file? Right? Are you really truly looking at who you're surrounding yourself with and understanding that you're going to start to mirror their behavior? You're going to start to mirror their actions, and you will rise or fall with those people. And doesn't mean that you can't hang out with them anymore. Doesn't mean you can't be cool with them anymore. You just can't spend the majority of your time there.
Yeah, absolutely. The rule of 3, you've heard that, right?
No, I heard 5, never 3.
So the 3 is kind of an add-on to this, but there are all kinds of people, and you were going down the right path. You've got your group of 5 that you spend the most time with, but this is for most of the other people that are out there. There are certain people that you can spend 30 minutes with, first 3. Mm-hmm. There's 3 in there, and that's it. There are certain people you can spend 3 hours with, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it starts going down. There are certain people you can spend 3 days with, and then that's it. So then you have a whole different group, but that's very few. There aren't many that go past the 3-day point. Yeah.
Wait, does the guy's trip kind of count as a 3-day thing, or
It
was
probably counts as a 3-day thing because those things can be, yeah.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. Well, awesome. Well, Emmett, you know, you've given some phenomenal insight, background, phenomenal points and tips, and just some great stuff. So I am grateful, and I appreciate you and you coming in and spending your time. We're getting to that point where you know, the time that I promised you. So I want to, you know, anything else that you want to add before I sign off here?
No, man. Thanks for the opportunity. Always love conversing with you. And for everybody that is out there listening, man, just understand that everybody's walking the same path. We're just at different points in the path.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get to repeat certain sections of it, but enjoy your journey.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, Emmett Carr, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody else, for your time and listening in. I know that you got some great stuff. We will have more of these as well, so make sure you tune in. But if anybody is looking for a phenomenal referral agent in Atlanta, you want to give out how they get in touch with you.
Feel free to email us, either Emmett or Holmes at iconiclivingteam.com. You can also visit us at iconicrealestateprofessionals.com. And we're here in the First Atlanta Market Center, the #1 market center in Atlanta. So there you go.
Awesome. You got it. Emmett, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody else, for joining us. And you guys go make it a great day.
Thank you, sir.